couple of weeks ago, I spoke about something that doesn't get nearly enough airtime. The coming extinction of the used car. And I mean, that sounds quite dramatic, doesn't it, without any context? But make no mistake, that is exactly where we're headed towards. A future where car ownership is once again reserved for only the wealthiest members of society amongst us. Those that can afford to go out and buy a brand new car or a very, very lightly used one. Let me tell you what else often doesn't get enough airtime. Your frankly brilliant comments on videos just like that one. As has so commonly become the case over the years, the most sensible, informed stances, they come from us, not a politician or a manufacturer or a trade body. Us, the everyday working public who frequently bear the brunt of short-sighted government policy. So ladies and gents, this one is over to you. Now, before I get into the comments, allow me to give you the 90-second synopsis of what that original video was about, just to refresh it in our minds. So at some point, we've probably all relied on an older car. Maybe it's when you were a student. Maybe it's when you were just struggling to make ends meet between jobs. Maybe you just didn't want a £500 a month car payment. Whatever the case, we have generally always had cheap, reliable used cars on the market. I'm talking here about the Toyota Yarises, the Honda Civics, even if they were 15, 20 years old. They're what provided autonomy to those of us with very little in the way of budget. If they did go wrong, they were simple and inexpensive to fix. Just about any mechanic or even a keen DIYer could sort them out and get them back on the road. Now the thing is, modern cars, they just don't offer that same level of longevity or repairability, and the reason for that is twofold. First, the ever-tightening noose of emissions that we've got here in the UK has made it very difficult for manufacturers to continue building reliable, long-lived engines. It's why we see tiny, complicated, highly stressed engines and regressive designs like wet timing belts and dry dual clutch gearboxes that wear out well before time. I cringe at this. A little Peugeot 208 that's got a dry dual clutch gearbox with a hybrid motor built in. This little car should be the epitome of simplicity and cheap to run, but it's not. When the gearbox does go wrong in this, you're going to be north of £7,000. £7,000 to repair it. And I say repair it, they're not going to even attempt to repair it. It's going to get a whole new gearbox because they won't open it up to replace parts. And that leads me neatly onto the second problem here. This closed loop environment that manufacturers are cultivating. Subscription services, parts that need to be coded in. Can't even replace a headlight on certain cars anymore without dealership level software to code it in and let the car know that that's a replacement part. You're married to the main dealer because of the software. So even if one of these jeopardised cars does manage to stand the test of time against all odds, you can forget about repairing it and keeping it roadworthy by yourself. That's just not going to happen. That's before we even start speaking about things like high voltage hybrid systems or EV systems. Now, as I said, some of the comments on that video, of which there were thousands, were absolutely brilliant. So here's a choice few. People need to fight for the right to repair. Absolutely they do. If manufacturers are allowed to lock diagnostics and repair behind closed software to prevent owners from fixing things, or third-party garages I'll add as well, then buying a car is not real ownership. We need a Lewis Rossman style advocate for these rights here in Europe. Absolutely on point, even with the Lewis Rossman reference. If we can't make basic repairs or even diagnose issues, then in my view, that's a long-term rental disguised as a purchase. More and more, cars are becoming computers on wheels, and this is something that we've seen in that industry for a long time as well. Mobile phones, computers, software being closed loop, and now it's seeping into cars, isn't it? Because that's essentially what cars are becoming. Just a massive computer on wheels. So closing that loop, it's never been easier, and car makers know it. On that Lewis Rossman style advocate comment, I do think anyone involved in this world has got a responsibility to be speaking out against it. I really do. Very few people do, Thankfully, there are some, but I think more of us need to be talking about it and need to be making more noise about the subject. Thank you for the comment. Built-in obsolescence is not just for vehicles, it includes practically everything manufactured these days. Tell me about it. Just got done ripping out a washing machine that was, 13 months old? Thank God I'm in my mid-70s and I've had a reasonably good life. I don't envy the youngsters of the future. The world is broken and it's going to get much worse. Unfortunately, you're not wrong. I wish you were, but you're not wrong. Absolutely not. It's everywhere, isn't it? If policymakers truly wanted a more, how do we put this, environmentally friendly approach, then incentivise longevity. It's that obvious. Incentivise longevity, discourage this throwaway culture for car components and washing machines for that matter. Again, thank you for the comment, and you are 100% right. 10-year manufacturer warranty should be law. Quality, repairability and longevity would magically improve overnight. What a way of putting it. And again, you're absolutely right. It would. I've spoken about this before. Having worked in the industry, the car manufacturing, engineering and design industry, on and off, the rise of virtual testing tools and their accuracy in this world means that manufacturers, they can meet that perfect crossover point between quality and cost, with the quality aspect, that's a key thing, with the quality aspect often being determined by how long they are liable for. In other words, the warranty. It's something you see a lot of when you're working in the design industry. Much of modern design is based around liability. What a sad sentence that is to say, but the truth nevertheless. Brilliant video, this guy gets it. Thank you. A long overdue, honest look at the future of cars and car ownership. Yes, thank you for this. In my view, the more of us that are aware of this and the more of us that are aware of how the industry is shifting, the better chance we've got of pushing back, protecting ownership rights before it gets too late. That's why I make noise about this. You have absolutely said this, word for word, how I see it. Try and explain this to the majority of people and they simply don't get it. Interesting point you're touching on here. I'm going to come back to that. I have always maintained that sustainability is the best way to be kind to the planet, but the governments are not interested in that. So you mentioned explaining this to the majority of people and them not getting it. That is exactly what I'm trying to do here. If you explain this, that we're headed for a future where only those who can afford a new or very nearly new car are going to retain mobility, it sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? It sounds ludicrous without any context. But that is the reality. Please do send this video on to anyone that you think needs to hear it, because we've still got the chance at the moment to speak out against it. And I encourage absolutely everyone to do that. Thank you for the comment. They will tax old cars off the road very soon. Well, interesting you say that. Did you see this? Well, it's inevitable, isn't it? Taxation is one of the biggest discouragement tools that they've got in their arsenal. We live in a world where an older sporty Golf, the people's car, now costs over £700 to tax for a year. £700 for 12 months. How long before it's 1,000? How long before it's 2,000? Sky's the limit. Next month's budget announcement is going to be very interesting indeed. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a very tough time for average people that just want a car that works, lasts, and does not cost much to run. Electric is not that. Exactly it. That is the core issue that you're summing up there. We've gotten accustomed to being able to pick up cheap cars and keep them running. But what's allowed us to do that is the longevity that was built into them 20 years ago. That allowed us to do that, and it now doesn't exist. Now you're doing well if you see a couple of years post-warranty without a big failure. So how much selection is there going to be in 15, 20 years' time? Not a lot. This is what I've feared for years, and unfortunately it's getting closer and closer. I just heard the Jaws theme tune there, did you? Happy to see confirming views. I couldn't consider buying anything from the 2020s anymore. It's hard to get into the diagnostics these days. Great point there, really good point that I've failed to mention so far. In 10, 20 years' time, there's not going to be any good used cars as we know them today. I've talked to repair shop owners, and off the record, they're seeing the exact same thing. They drive older cars themselves, and they're absolutely horrified at the repair costs or early junk values of new cars. They all have horror stories about seemingly minor issues grounding cars for months because there are no parts or availability for new cars, and things can't be repaired anymore. Replacement is the only option available. Well, just like that little Peugeot that I'm talking about, if you need a new gearbox for one of them, they're going to put a whole new gearbox in. Nothing gets repaired nowadays. They want to replace it in complete units, which makes it very, very expensive for consumers like us. And look, I've got a number of friends who either run little repair shops or just work in independent repair shops, and it's the exact same story I hear from them week in, week out. They are actively turning work away because they don't have the tools to even do basic diagnostics. I mean, it's not that they've not invested in the equipment, it's that they can't. The main dealer's keeping that to themselves, and unless things change, this is going to be devastating to small independent garages as well. But that is a whole other topic. Now look, thank you so much for these comments. As I say, there was thousands on that video. Do have a read for yourself as well. I've just plucked out the top few here. And please do spread this video with anyone that you think needs to hear it. And also, I'll add this in here because it feels very relevant for this style of video where we're essentially endorsing buying an older used car. Do remember that one of our channel sponsors is Vehicle Score, and they very kindly provide 20% off any of their checks for anyone who's watching this channel. I'll add the link and the discount code in the description below. If you click that, go to their website, you can purchase an HPI check. That'll tell you everything you need to know about that car that you're thinking about buying, whether it's got outstanding finance, whether it's been subject to an insurance write-off, and so on. Tons of other stuff you need. They also do a free check as well, so if you don't want to part with the money, at least use their free check. But yes, as ever, thank you so much for watching. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments section below this video. Maybe we'll do a repeat of this video if we enjoy it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll see you for the next one.